here we go. The first big news that came out yesterday that kind of changed the paradigm for the NFL, changed our way of thinking about one of the biggest stories that we continue to discuss. And it's funny, too, because I'll see the feedback. Why do you guys talk about Lamar Jackson all the time? Well, let's see. There's news about Lamar Jackson every single day. There's developments in this compelling, unprecedented story every single day where you have an MVP who's still in his prime, who has been unable to negotiate without the help of an agent his long-term contract, and who is now subject to the non-exclusive franchise tag, and nobody is interested in him. Oh, and by the way, he's got his business partner trying to call these teams to stir up interest, even though Lamar Jackson is staunchly self-represented. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's the story that keeps on evolving. And yesterday, Lamar Jackson, Christopher, finally did what he should have done a long time ago. I've been saying this for years. Hey, you want the Deshaun Watson contract? You have to mimic the Deshaun Watson experience. And that includes at some point saying to the Ravens, F you, trade me, which is what he finally did.
Right.
And he acknowledged that he made the request back on March 2nd. That was about a week before they applied the non-exclusive franchise tag. He's asked to be traded. The non-exclusive franchise tag gives him a way to at least work that process on his own, but this is actually very different than waiting for someone to contact you, negotiate with you, sign you to an offer sheet, wait to see if the Ravens will match it. This is actually the best move he has made while representing himself, Chris, because if the Ravens are willing to trade him, this short-circuits that whole process of guesswork.
Right.
Why do we want to pursue Lamar Jackson, get him to sign an offer sheet when the Ravens may match it? Because we completely disrupt our fans' expectations. We alienate our current starting quarterback. If we're the Vikings, we have to trade away Kirk Cousins before we can even sign him to an offer sheet. And then if the Ravens match it, ladies and gentlemen, starting at quarterback today for your Minnesota Vikings, Nick Mullins. So this is actually a way out of the maze.
Right.
If the Ravens will do it, and if they can find someone who will trade for him, this is far more effective than the franchise tag wait for an offer sheet route, if it goes anywhere.
Definitely. I mean, it was, shocking news yesterday, and the fact that, he comes out and says that. I don't know if it's shocking if you're following on a day-to-day basis like we are or some of our viewers and, everybody else there. Again, it's been open for business. We know he's been calling, he's had representatives, maybe himself as well. I don't have the information on that. Been calling and talking to teams. So there's obviously been the interest there, but it changes the dynamic to what you're saying there. I think it just puts it out there a little bit more to maybe not finality, but a little bit more like, hey, I'm willing to leave here. And actually, I'm not sure if I don't want to leave here right now. I think that's what he's telling us yesterday. So that's where that changes. And then you're right, the aspect of, the two guaranteed first-round picks, the contract on top of that, will Baltimore match it? That makes things messy. To now, there's some other avenues to maybe work this thing out, that are open to discussion that I think changes this and changes the dynamics that we're talking about a little bit now. To where, again, maybe a trade the way we see it more in during the trade deadline, or more commonly used throughout the NFL season or off season, we might see something more along those lines now. There seems like there's more options, so we'll see where it goes. But I'm not shocked. And Mike, I don't know. Does it really change anything? I don't know if it ultimately does. Are they not going to call him anymore, the Ravens, to try to work out a long-term deal? Does it totally end, right? I think it just makes more public pressure on it and maybe changes the dynamic we're talking about. But I don't know if it really changes anything in the big picture of things.
A couple of hours after Lamar Jackson posted the tweet acknowledging that he did indeed ask the team to trade him on March 2nd, Ian Rappaport of NFL Media reported that as recently as last week, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson were actively negotiating. Now, I don't know how active the negotiations are when they just have fundamental disagreements on the structure of the contract and the issues that have prevented the two sides from reaching an agreement over the past 2 years, but they are continuing to talk. And a lot of it comes down to what the Ravens actually want to do. Do they want to keep him? And this is where the dog chases its tail on this. If you want to keep him, you pay him. But the problem is he wants more than they want to pay him. Okay, if you don't want to pay him, then trade him. But but they don't want to trade him. They want to keep him. And then the question becomes, how much would they want for him if they do entertain a possible trade? I was working through the mental gymnastics a few weeks ago, and it's like, okay, if the Ravens are going to match an offer sheet signed by Lamar Jackson and collect 2 first-round picks, would they trade him for more than 2 first-round picks?
Yeah.
Is there an offer that they won't refuse? We from time to time will run down the very short list of untradeable players in the NFL. And at any given time, it's very short. And right now, Lamar Jackson is not untradeable. There is an offer that another team could put together that the Ravens would accept. I just don't think there's another team that would make the offer that the Ravens would not refuse, Chris.
Well, no, I think that, and I think, again, this is where it gets into the conversation of this is why he should have had an agent. An agent could have set some of these things up, set some interest up from other teams before the season was over last year. Let them know, hey, this is coming down the tunnel here, and things aren't getting done, just to let you guys know, get your ducks in a row, because Lamar Jackson might be available to you. See, so all of that, it's way too late, as is in this comment. It's way too late. This should have been, like you said, months ago. This should have been a month and a half ago, 6 weeks ago. So, that's where it does get interesting. But, again, I think that's where it's a little confusing right now. And, the non-exclusive franchise tag thing, hey, it's a baseline or a starter. It saves the Ravens in case anybody makes some big offer. But there's other ways they can do this. They could sign Lamar Jackson, right? Sign him to a big deal, knowing, oh, wait, we're going to really trade him to another team. This team wants to pay him that. Then it takes away the whole 2 first-round thing altogether, to where if a team didn't have 2 first-round picks next year, right, they could use them down the line. So there's some other avenues here to work. But, Mike, to your main point there, yeah, I would think, if you work out outside the guidelines of non-exclusive franchise tag thing there, more than 2 first-round picks is going to be part of this conversation. It's not just going to end right there for Lamar Jackson, like you talked about to start the show, star quarterback, prime of his career. We've never seen this before. I would think the price tag is more than 2 first-round. Yeah, I definitely would.
But when you're talking about a trade, you can be more creative than just 2 first-round draft picks. That's the other side of it, too.
Sure.
And I don't know that there's a team out there that falls into this category, Chris, but the Vikings, who keep showing up on the short list of betting favorites as the next destination for Lamar Jackson. And if you're going to short any future bet out there, that's the one to short, because he isn't playing for the Vikings. They're not going to trade. Because, look, what do you do with Kirk Cousins? You got to trade Kirk Cousins to somebody else while you're trading for Lamar Jackson. And I don't think the Ravens want Kirk Cousins, who's under contract for 1 more year. And the cap hit
and
at this
seats
point
are filled.
For a pre-June 1 trade.
Right.
Pre-June 1 trade would be crippling for the Vikings. It's $38 million to trade Kirk Cousins before June 1. Then you got to sign Lamar Jackson to a contract. See, that's the thing. You got to come up with a package that satisfies the Ravens, and you have to satisfy Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Now, granted, the Browns did that last year with the Texans. The Browns gave up a massive haul of money and draft picks to get Deshaun Watson, and that deal continues to be the thing that caused this all to go haywire. And frankly, Chris, as you were explaining the situation earlier, it dawned on me, yes, he should have had an agent to lay the foundation for this, and this all should have happened a year ago.
Yeah, probably
you
a
give
year
the
ago.
Ravens
I was
a
being
year
nice. You're right.
to give you the contract you deserve.
Right.
You give them, okay, because after 2020, he's eligible for a long-term deal, and he's already won an MVP award. He's earned it. You don't give him one during the 2021 season. You get to early 2022 and you say, I want out. I'm done. I've given you every chance to sign me to a long-term deal. And frankly, a year ago, if he had an agent that would have properly pushed the buttons, you know what? He might have had a seat in Miami. The seat in Miami's gone now. Mike McDaniel made it clear last night. He told the South Florida Sun-Sentinel and the Palm Beach Post in a conversation separate from yesterday's meeting where he made the crack about the coffee not being free within the Commanders organization. He said that the decision to pick up the 5th-year option on Tua absolutely takes them out of the mix for Lamar Jackson. Last year, when they were trying to get Tom Brady, actively trying to get Tom Brady.
Agreed, right.
And lost a first-round pick over it eventually.
Right.
If Lamar's in play then, whoa. He may have been a Dolphin for 2022. And can you imagine the Miami? I'm sorry, I know, two and on. Just just bear with me here. Can you imagine the Dolphins with Lamar Jackson? Are you kidding me? Too late for that now. If they had done this last year, maybe it would have happened.
Yeah, this is where, again, it sounds like, we're not trying to be negative, Lamar, but yes, this is things that the agent helps with. And that's where I think, again, this whole situation gets weird here. It's not collusion by the Dolphins. The Dolphins, they saw their quarterback, who they drafted the number 5 pick in the draft, play really damn good football last year. They said, let's continue to see where this goes. Because when he played, we won games, and he played well, and we were tough to beat, and we were in the Super Bowl conversation. But that's where it's also weird, Mike, right? Because there was no setup of that. And I think ultimately, if you were in the perfect world, teams that would want Lamar Jackson are teams that are set up and ready to win right now, and just the quarterback is the only thing we're missing. And again, that's where the agent could have got on the radar of those type of particular teams we're talking about. But right now, there's no teams like that, really, right? I mean, we talk about certain teams in this conversation, and I don't know, who are the teams in the conversation that we legitimately think would bid or go after him, right? I think that's where we got to start to kind of unpack this, and I think that's where it gets interesting, and I don't know if the stars align for some of these teams who, need quarterback, but I don't know if their roster is ready for Lamar. It's like we have 55 holes on our team. So wait, we got the quarterback, but now we got 64 other holes on the team. So what's the point of getting Lamar for that? And that's where they're stuck, and that's where they didn't that's where, again, the agent would have helped to see down the road a little bit to where this thing was going to go.
Later in the segment, we're going to try to find a match for Lamar Jackson.
Cool.
It's easier to cross them off at this point, frankly, than it is to identify them. But something else flashed in my brain as you were talking about last year and talking about teams looking for quarterbacks. Look what the Falcons did last year. They got pulled to the table by Deshaun Watson. They pissed off Matt Ryan, which ended up being a problem avoided given the way Ryan played last year. But can you imagine, Chris, if in the immediate aftermath of Watson picking the Browns, the Falcons having to trade Matt Ryan, Lamar Jackson's agent had said to the Ravens then, I want my client to be traded to the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, there would have been multiple places last year for Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
If this thing had been orchestrated and engineered by an agent a year ago. And I know, look, we everybody out there knows. We can stipulate that we believe Lamar should have had an agent. And this is where an agent would have come in handy last year to come up with a plan, a strategy. It's not just sit back and wait for someone to dump money in front of you and you say, that looks good to me, I'll take it, which I feel like he's been doing.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been this unspoken attitude. I shouldn't have to negotiate. I shouldn't have to ask you for anything. You should just offer me what I deserve. And yes, life would be a lot easier, Lamar, if all negotiations went that way. If we all just had handed to us that which we believe we deserve, there would be never a need for agents, lawyers, anyone to help us get what we want. That's not how it works. And you need to have an active plan. And last year, if he'd had it in place, he would have had a new team. This year, the plan has been activated. No new team yet. And before we pivot to some of the teams that have made it clear they're not interested.
Yeah, cool.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.